This is Mr. Evans. This video is going to look at an essay. It's an essay that I've written. What I'm intending to do over the next few weeks is upload a load of essays because I think that you can learn more from essays than you can from just a normal video. So I'm going to set myself a series of questions and answer those essays how I would use them, and hopefully that will teach you not only some exam technique, but will also help you revise the topics that I'm going to go over. So I received a request for someone to have a look at what's going on in the external environment in the UK. So I hope this video will put in the context of answering a question some of those queries. So the first thing to do when you get a question is just think really clearly, what am I being asked to do? And you can break a question down into the instruction, the context, and the focus. So if we have a look at the instruction, well, in this case, the instruction is discuss. And that means we need to come to a conclusion and evaluation. The discuss questions, or the questions that require an evaluation, tend to be higher tariff questions, i.e. 16, 20, 24 or 25 mark questions in the A-level paper. So that's how we can decide what we're being asked to do. We look at the instruction, discuss, justify, evaluate, assess. All of those questions imply that we need to come to a conclusion. The context of the question is what's the business scenario that we're going to be asking about. And the business scenario in the case of this question, discuss the extent to which the external environment in the UK will be favourable for businesses in the future. Well, it's the external environment in the UK and it's businesses in the future. So that's the context we're going to be looking at, UK businesses in the future. And the focus is the knowledge that you are going to need in order to answer the question. And in this case, you need to know what the external environment is. So that's how I would break down that question. A good answer is going to talk about the UK in the future. It's going to identify several aspects of the external environment. And because it's a discuss question, I need to come to a conclusion. Now, you'll probably get most out of this video if you just take a second to pause the video and just maybe bullet point some ideas about how you would answer the question, and then we'll have a look at my answer. So before I started this, I sat down and I planned the question. I've got my plan on a piece of paper, which I had next to me while I wrote it. I also did time myself 20 minutes, so I wrote this in constrained conditions. I can probably type faster than you can write, so you might not be able to produce an essay of this quantity, but that's not really the point of this. The point is to show you what I believe. Well, I've had 20 odd years of writing essays, so this is quite a high level essay, but hopefully it will help pull you up to a really top grade if you have a look at it. So you could pause here and just read my descriptions of what would be included in a high level essay. And I meant to include the grade descriptor for a top band essay, but I forgot to put that in, so you could go and have a look at that on one of the mark schemes. Either way, let's have a read through my essay and have a look at the structure and how I've tried to answer the question. So first of all, I've got a short introduction. The external environment can be analysed by examining political, economic, social, technological, legal and ethical climate. Businesses that take a proactive approach to monitoring the external environment for opportunities and threats and adjusting their strategy to avoid strategic drift are the most likely to find the external environment favourable in the future. So I've brought in a little bit of theory here. First of all, I've explained what the external environment is, so the examiner is very clear what my knowledge is. And then I've done what's called a little bit of signposting, which is I've said that businesses that take a proactive approach to monitoring the external environment and adjusting their strategy to avoid strategic drift are going to find the environment favourable in the future. It's really clear that I'm answering the question. The question was about businesses in the future, so I'm nice and focused on the question. Excuse me. All right. And I've said that there are going to be opportunities and threats if businesses take a proactive approach to their strategy, basically. So my first paragraph, the focus of this first paragraph is why the external environment may be favourable to businesses in the future. So one aspect of the economic environment that is providing plenty of opportunities to UK businesses is, I've got that wrong, haven't I? That's supposed to be the external environment. Excuse me, there'll probably be a few mistakes because I did do it in time conditions. One aspect of the external environment that is providing plenty of opportunities to UK businesses is the technological environment, specifically the growth of e-commerce in the UK. Consumers in the UK have embraced e-commerce, and the proportion of sales generated from e-commerce in the UK are the highest in Europe. Now, where did I get that from? Well, this is data from 2015-16. I know this anyway, so this is knowledge, but this is just to back up what I'm saying. In 2015-16, the UK was the third largest user of e-commerce in the world, way ahead of our European partners. Businesses like Amazon and ASOS position themselves well to take advantage of the opportunities presented in this market, and even traditional retailers like the supermarkets have invested heavily in developing their distribution networks to enable them to take advantage of the willingness of consumers to shop online. Okay, I've used take advantage twice. It's not great English, but you can see what I'm getting at here. I've got some application. Amazon, ASOS, and the supermarkets have all invested in e-commerce, which is important in the UK because lots of customers are doing it. The social environment is also changing in the UK, with many consumers more aware of ethical issues and prepared to pay a premium price for the products that they believe to be ethical. So now I'm looking at another aspect of the external environment, and I'm going to try and do some application. An example is how attitudes to plastic are shifting. Businesses like Costa Coffee have had to invest significantly in developing their schemes to recycle their plastic cups to ensure that they can present an ethical image to consumers, which is important because this group of consumers looks like it will continue to grow into the future. Okay, so I'm really focused on the question, and I've used an example of Costa Coffee, which I could probably just look up. Costa Coffee recycling. And that's relatively recent news. I'm recording this in May 2018. So just using a few examples from my knowledge about what's going on. Finally, the economic environment seems to be gradually improving in the UK. The current rate of unemployment is very low and real wages are starting to rise. This is all true. It's based on what's going on in the economic environment. Therefore, businesses selling normal or luxury goods may find opportunities to grow as a result of these changes in the future. So bringing in a bit of theory, normal and luxury goods, this is about income elasticity and demand, and it's fully focused on the question. At the end of the paragraph, I'm just going to summarize what I've said, and this might bring in a little bit of evaluation. Overall, it seems that businesses that can present an ethical image who are prepared to embrace e-commerce will find plenty of opportunities in the external environment in the future. So I've got a little bit of analysis about the sort of businesses who are going to find the external environment beneficial in the future. It should be really clear to the examiner that I'm focused on the question and answering it. However, so this however here is a sign that I'm changing direction. I've got my introduction, then I've got paragraph 1, which is why the external environment may be beneficial. The however is an indication that I'm going to talk about why the external environment may not be beneficial. However, there are some aspects of the external environment that may not be favourable to all you businesses in the UK in the future. One aspect of the political environment that's caused much consternation amongst businesses, particularly those who export products to the EU, is the uncertainty caused by Brexit and the sort of trade deal that may be agreed. Businesses that rely on sales in the EU could be badly affected if a trade deal with the EU is not agreed. There are also, that's looking at how a very current issue in the political environment. Maybe I could be a bit more focused on the future, but they could be very badly affected. There are also rapid changes afoot in the social environment. Many high street retailers are struggling. BHS shut down, and House of Debenhams and House of Fraser have both announced store closures recently. This is all true. It shows the examiner that I'm really up to date with what's going on in the UK economy. This reflects the trend of consumers to either shop online or shop in destinations like the Trafford Centre in Manchester or Westfield Centres in London. Consumers come here for the mix of shopping, eating and entertainment, which many high streets can no longer provide. Okay, so changes in the social environment, changes in shopping patterns, consumers looking to be entertained rather than just look for shopping destinations mean that many high streets are struggling. Finally, recent data protection scandals that have occurred in market leaders like Facebook demonstrate that even in the technological environment there are potential threats. Businesses that intend to expand their online presence will need to invest significant amounts in firewalls and specialist employees to prevent hackers stealing consumers' data and damaging the reputations of these brands. So I've combined, or I've mentioned in here a number of threats in the external environment, and I want to make sure that the examiner knows that I'm still focused on the question. Therefore, it seems that traditional retailers who have not adapted to these changes in the social and technological environments may well be left behind in the future. So it should be really clear that I'm focused on the question throughout. And now I need to come to a conclusion in this essay. So in conclusion, the external environment in the UK is changing rapidly. Those organisations that have a proactive approach to building their strategy and will have identified opportunities for growth in the external environment. These opportunities will suit businesses who can utilise e-commerce and present an ethical brand image. However, traditional high street retailers appear to be being squeezed by a movement to sales online, and unless they can differentiate their offer to appeal to a more ethical consumer, these businesses will suffer from strategic drift and fail to adapt to the rapidly changing external environment in the UK. Okay, so basically my conclusion is just bringing together all of my arguments, opportunities for growth in e-commerce and for businesses that have an ethical brand image, but I need some balance in my answer for a good answer. Traditional high street retailers are struggling at the moment, and how could they solve their problems? They need to differentiate their offer to appeal to a more ethical consumer. So I think the main elements of a good conclusion are a clear answer to the question that has been supported and justified by the analysis throughout the essay. You identify a problem or some balance in the essay, i.e. why does that not apply to all businesses? And if you can then offer a solution to that problem, you've got a really good answer to the question. So I hope that helped A, revise some of the key concepts, B, give you some application that you might be able to use in an answer, and C, showed you how I would structure this essay.